Hey friends, it's Corey from Hey Let's Make Stuff. Welcome to another YouTube double header. Today I'm joining with my friend Angie Holden to bring you two videos about DTF or direct-to-film printing. If you got here from Angie's video, welcome to my channel. If you didn't actually watch Angie's video, I will link it below, as well as make sure that this video links to it at the end so you can watch it. If you are joining us live, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Angie and I are over in the little chat window if you want to talk with us. If you are watching this video after the fact, you are welcome here as well. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave those below and I will be happy to answer them. Angie and I have both been diving into DTF printing. Back in November, we both flew to Fargo, North Dakota to learn how to use the Prestige A4 DTF printer. Neither of us really wanted to own our own DTF printer just because of the nature of our own businesses, but we wanted to learn so that we could share more about DTF printing with you. While we were in Fargo, we only put DTF prints on garments, mostly t-shirts, but we both got our little wheels clicking and decided we should see if we can put DTF prints on a whole bunch of other various substrates. So in Angie's video, she tackled hats, mugs, acrylic, paper, and then a linen covered notebook as well. I have a neoprene can koozie, I've got a metal bookmark, I have a faux leather luggage tag, I've got a piece of wood, and I have a glass can. I also have a bunch of DTF prints for these. So I've already sized and printed these for these particular objects. I do have all of these files in a bundle for you, and you can grab those from my craft library. If you're new to my craft library, all you have to do is go to heyletsmakestuff.com/library. There, if you don't have the password already, you can request it. Then go back to that same page and log in. This is file number S28 in my craft library, and there are two ways to find it. The first is to click the Sublimation and DTF button, and that will take you down to the Sublimation and DTF section, and there you can look for file S28. The other way to find it is to use Control F if you're on a PC or Command F if you're on a Mac and search for S28. Once you find the file, go ahead and click that first link and it will download a zip with these PNGs inside. For all of these DTF projects today, I'm going to be using a slightly lower temperature. So I'm going to be pressing these at 290 degrees for 20 seconds. I did actually test all 5 of these, and technically all 5 worked. I do have some reservations, and I will share those as we go along, but I will know that we will get 5 DTF'd projects by the end of this video. For these 4 flat projects, I'm going to be using my Walla press from Heat Transfer Warehouse, and then for this glass can, I'm going to be using my tumbler press from PYD Life. Are you ready to get started testing these substrates? Let's get going. I'm going to start with this bookmark. Now this is actually a sublimation bookmark, and it does have a plastic film on there. So you can use a weeding hook or some other small tool to peel up that plastic. You definitely don't want to put this in your heat press. I've learned from experience, you want to make sure to peel that up before you press. Then I'm going to add my DTF print to this metal bookmark. Now, if you'd like, you can use a piece of heat-resistant tape, but it's not necessary. I just sort of get it lined up, and then I'm going to put it in the center of my heat press. Just like that. Now I'm going to press it for 290 for 20 seconds. Of course, because it's metal, it's going to be hot when it comes out of the heat press, and technically this film is hot peel. However, you're going to notice that I don't actually use that hot peel on all of these projects. So I'm actually going to let this one cool and I'm going to peel it cold, and I found that when I did this the first time, it worked just fine doing it that way. I'm going to pull this out here, and while that cools, let's do our next one. The next one here is a can koozie. Again, this is a sublimation blank. I just have so many sublimation blanks. You could actually sublimate this same PNG on here and it would work, but we're doing DTF today. So I'm going to center it. Again, if you wanted, you could use some heat resistant tape. For all of these projects, I am using sort of a light to medium pressure, but I am gonna only use light pressure on this particular blank. I don't want that neoprene to sort of compact down and not be able to sort of puff back up and do its job to keep my drinks cool. And like the bookmark, this one is getting pressed at 290 for 20 seconds. All right, while that is pressing, let's peel off the film here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and peel it right off. And you can see here that I was able to DTF this metal bookmark. This one actually stuck to the top of my press, which I didn't have happen on my first one. So I'm gonna go ahead and just peel this back. So as you can see here, this one didn't actually do the best job. I am gonna press it for another 5 seconds under a sheet of parchment to try and press down these places where it's coming up. But I still think it's not gonna be very good because you can see, in some of these places, it's just wrinkled and it hasn't given me a really good press. Pressing with that parchment paper did help, but you can still see here that I've got some warping. Now let me pull in the one I made earlier, and this one turned out perfectly. I don't know what the difference is, to be perfectly honest. I expected this one to turn out like this. I don't know if this is because this is a sublimation blank, if there was something different in the makeup of the neoprene on here than just this sort of cheapy little black one. But one thing you could do is wait to peel this when it was much cooler. I peeled this one while it was hot, and I'm pretty sure I peeled this one while it was hot, but maybe letting it cool would help. Number 1 turned out okay. Number 2, meh. Let's talk about number 3. Number 3 is this leather luggage tag. And like I said before, I've actually done these already. So I'm putting this cute little globe on here. And this is the one I had the most issues with when I was doing my practice run here. Basically, there are 2 layers of plastic in here, and you slide your business card or your information in between the 2 layers. Now, unfortunately, those 2 layers melted together inside. But because they were adhered to the inside of the luggage tag, I couldn't actually pull them out. And I'm not sure if you can see it in the overhead view here, but I did end up with a rectangle around my image, and that is where the film actually like impressed into the leather. So we're gonna try and avoid that in this next one. So just know if you're using faux leather, you may want to have your actual transfer sheet a little bit bigger than the actual blank itself so that you don't get those imprint lines. So these luggage tags came with these little insert cards, and I'm going to use them to try and keep that plastic from melting to itself. So I'm gonna slide one card all the way in, and then I'm gonna put the other card partway out, just to keep the top edge from sticking to itself on the other side. So just like that. Then I'm gonna grab my little image here, just like this. Again, you can use heat-resistant tape if you'd like. For this one, I am gonna lessen my pressure just a little bit, so hopefully I don't get quite the imprint. I'm also gonna use a piece of parchment paper and see if that helps with the imprinting issue. I don't have high hopes, but we're gonna give it a shot. Like I did with the bookmark, I am gonna let this one cool before I peel back that image. Our last flat project is gonna be this wood round. Now, one thing you wanna have on hand when doing wood with DTF is something heavy to put on top so that your wood doesn't bow. I have a bunch of books that I'm gonna put on top. However, I still found that my wood bowed just a little bit. If you have something like bricks, that's actually probably the best option. I just have books, so I'm gonna stack those on here, but I do expect that I will see a little bit of cupping with the wood. The heavier you can make whatever you're putting on top of your wood, the better. All right, I've got my books stacked on my wood round here. This is also my plug for my Cricut book. If you're a Cricut crafter, I have a book called Easy Cricut Crafts. It has more than 35 really unique projects, so I will go ahead and link that in the description below. Even though it has nothing to do with DTF, it's just the biggest books I have out here. I moved my big press out of the way and I have my tumbler press heating up, but I should mention with the wood that I'm gonna do this one with a cold peel. I tried it with the hot peel on my first attempt and it was a no-go. It pulled up all the grains of the fiber of the wood. It was not pretty. However, when I peeled the other side of it, when I peeled from the top, the cold peel worked really well. So I'm gonna wait for that to cool off just to make sure that everything is adhered properly. Before we do this glass can, let's see how our luggage tag turned out. So, oh, nope, that did not work either. It has now stuck the plastic to my luggage tag here, and I don't think there's any getting it out. Yeah, the plastic has actually adhered itself to the paper tag in here, so that's not gonna work. I thought it might work. I thought we'd give it a test. Let's see, can I peel it off? Oh, maybe from that side. That side's not so bad. Can I do it from the other side? Oh, maybe. Maybe. There's one. All right, can I get that other one out? Okay, actually that did work. I'm shocked. All right, so I'm gonna peel this back as well. That peeled back very easily. I still have that rectangle even though I lessened the pressure this time, but overall, this is a much better try than my first try because I can actually put a card back in there, and then when I open it up on the back, you can see all the details. So if you are gonna do something like these leather luggage tags, I highly recommend sticking something inside. A piece of parchment paper might have worked even better than these little cards, but you don't want those 2 plastic layers to stick to themselves. If you wanna do a different faux leather project, maybe a notebook, you totally can. Just be aware that the edge of the film can imprint into that leather. It's not the best, you know, it's just something you wanna be aware of. And then finally, I have my wood round here. Let's see how this went. And again, I'm just gonna peel it up really quick, just like that. And I have a little bit on the sides here. So I am gonna throw this in my heat press for another 5 seconds with a piece of parchment on top, just to make sure that these edges are really stuck down. That second press with the parchment paper really helped. Now all of my edges are really secure on this wood round. All right, let's finish up with this glass can. The glass can is actually where I had the most trouble when I was doing my tests. I do think it's possible, but honestly, I don't know if I would recommend it. To start, I'm using a full wrap. Now, I don't have a DTF printer at home, so I couldn't really try it with other images because I'm running out of DTF prints to make things with, so I'm gonna use the same image. But the problem with a full wrap image is no matter how tightly I pulled this around the can, I still got some buckling in the film when I closed my press. And because it's a full wrap image, I do need to turn the can in the press, meaning that it buckled twice. It buckled on one side and then it buckled on the other side. I sort of fixed that with a press afterward, as you'll see, but not a huge fan of the full wrap. Now, if you just wanted to put an image on maybe either side, I think you could totally do that, but I wouldn't say necessarily that a full wrap is the best choice. However, it's the only choice I have, so we're gonna go with it. So I'm just gonna wrap it around, making sure that I have my image on the flat part of the can. And again, you want this to be as tight as possible, and even with that, you're probably gonna get some buckling. Now, I didn't trim mine great, so I'm also gonna have a little gap here, but you know, what you're gonna do. This is sort of a hack. So I need to move this down just a hair so that all my image is on the flat part of the can, just like that. And then I am going to use that heat resistant tape to tape my image to my can here. Now it feels so tight on there and I would hope it wouldn't buckle, but I am definitely not holding my breath after the first one I made. I'm gonna add 2 more pieces of tape here, I think. I'm not gonna tape the top and bottom. I don't think it's necessary. Just like this. Now I'm gonna take the lid out. I'm gonna put it in my heat press. I'm going to press it for 15 seconds, and then I'm gonna rotate it and press it for 15 seconds more. When I close this, I do feel like my buckling issue was less bad on this one than it was on the first one that I made, but we'll see how it turns out after I do the flip. Wear your heat resistant gloves and then flip your image over. And this is where I had the problem. I can see it pulling up just where that seam is. And because of that, it's pulling the DTF print off of the glass, which is not where we want it. We want it on the glass, right? So make sure you have your heat resistant gloves. So I've got my heat resistant gloves here and I am gonna start to peel this up. So I'm gonna pull it up from the tape here, just working my way through this tape. Just like this, I can feel the heat of this thing through my heat resistant glove. Ooh, my tape does not wanna come up, there we go. All right, and then I'm going to peel this back. And I can already see that I'm having issues here, but what are we gonna do? We're just gonna peel that up. I'm gonna peel that off. So you can see that I actually did lose some because right here is where it buckled the second time when I turned it, and I lost a little bit here. So I am gonna do a final press on this. I'm going to wrap it in parchment paper and then press it for 5 seconds, rotate it, and press it for 5 seconds again. Is it bold and vibrant? Yes, it is. It looks really good where it looks really good, and it looks really bad where it looks really bad. So if I turn it here, you can see here, I'm just missing huge chunks where that DTF film just peeled up. I've got a few more here. Even here, this is still sort of folded. So I do think you could do smaller images, maybe on one side, but something like a full wrap, I am just not a fan. All right, I have my final 5 projects here. Let's talk about them in detail. So the bookmark, which is on metal, I think it turned out pretty well. If you look really closely, and I don't think you're gonna be able to see this in the video, you can see the outline of the adhesive from the DTF print around each letter. So basically it has that powdered adhesive, which is cured, and when the heat hits it, it's sort of melted out, creating this small outline around each of the letters. I don't know how long this will last, however. I don't know if these letters might peel up over time. You can use an epoxy or a polyacrylic to seal this if you'd like, but overall I think this metal bookmark is the project I'm the happiest with. Second, I have these little can koozies. So in my tests, I'm really happy with how the black one turned out. I feel like it turned out perfectly. I'm not as thrilled with how the white one turned out. And again, I'm not sure if peeling it cold would help. I do feel like that could be something that you could try. I also don't know if using a sublimation blank was my problem. So overall, possible on neoprene, but you may have to give it a few tests. Then of course we have our luggage tag. We talked a lot about this earlier. I do recommend putting something inside the luggage tag so that those two pieces of plastic don't melt to each other. And again, you can see the imprint of the edges of the film. It's just something to be aware of when you're making faux leather projects. And then we have our wood sign. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. We do have that same issue I had on the bookmark with that adhesive sort of creeping out around all of the edges. But other than that, if you give it a cool peel, I think the DTF on wood is a definite possibility. And then finally, we have our pour glass can, which I'm not thrilled with. Actually, the one I made the first time where I thought I had even more buckling in the film turned out better than this one did. But I wanted to give you an honest review of how this actually looks because I'm seeing a lot of people doing it and I feel like a lot of people are like, this works great. And I'm like, I don't know how great it works, guys. So it'll have to be up to you on whether or not you want to try this. But if you want to try it, go for it. I do think that this will be hand wash only. Do not put this in the dishwasher because I think those little pieces of DTF printing will just come right up. And I would seal it with some sort of polyacrylic spray just because I think over time, and not even that much time, those little ink pieces will peel up. I hope you found this video on using DTF on all sorts of various substrates helpful. I think when we spend a lot of money on something like a DTF printer, we want to know what else can it do. And so you've seen here a few other things it can do. You can see how it does some things well, how it does other things not as well, but I wanted to give you some more options in case you think DTF printing is for you. Again, if you haven't watched Angie's video, I'm going to go ahead and link to it after this video. It will also be down in the description. She's doing 5 different substrates to give you even more options for DTF. If you have any questions about these substrates I've used, go ahead and leave those in the comments. As always, I would appreciate a like if you found this video helpful or inspiring. Follow my channel for more DTF, sublimation, Cricut, and laser content. I'll see you next week.